1. The Quarry's Whisper User. True Commission 5255. Date: April 24th, 2024. The sun dipped low over Jedediah Smith State Park, painting the pines in blood-red hues as I eased my truck into the forgotten rock quarry along South Fork Road. The dogs bounded out, oblivious, their barks echoing off sheer walls like distant warnings. I hammered stakes into the earth, flames licking the grill as twilight clawed at the sky. Then it started, a low hum, vibrating through the ground, rising into howls that twisted the air, circling closer, closer. I laughed it off, zipping into the tent with my audiobook's murmur as a fragile shield. But the dogs, they went rigid. Growls rumbled from their throats, eyes fixed on the river's black ribbon. Something massive thrashed the underbrush across the water, heavy, deliberate crashes that shook leaves from branches. My pulse quickened. I lunged for the car, slamming the door just as the first rock struck. Thud. Another. Thud, thud, thud! The fifth exploded through the windshield in a spray of glass, inches from my face. Engine roaring, I fled to a Walmart lot's harsh glow, but sleep evaded me. The next night, deeper in the redwoods near Willow Creek, shadows thickened like conspirators. A stranger at the trailhead eyed me too long, alone. He stammered about heebie-jeebies and vanished into the dusk. Sunset bled over the riverbank. I knelt by wildflowers, breath steadying. Then, eyes. Honey brown, unblinking, locked from across the creek. 8 feet of coiled fury emerged from the gloom, shaggy fur rippling over sinew, a bipedal colossus that shouldn't exist. Seconds stretched into eternity, our stares a silent war. No sound. No movement. Until the voice slithered into my skull, gravel deep, I stumbling through endless black woods, shadows with teeth closing in. It blinked. Gone. But the warning lingered, colder than the night. I packed in frenzy, tires screaming down the mountain, knowing the beast wasn't the hunter. It was the prey. 2. Echoes from the Canopy User. Lazy Replacement 6020. Date: September 18th, 2025. The switchbacks to Ice Lake clawed upward like veins of jagged stone, each step in Silverton's aspen-choked wild stealing breath from our lungs. 3 hours of torment, sweat-stinging eyes, our German-Aussie shepherd mix vanishing ahead in playful bursts, until the basin. 10 minutes of stolen peace, then thunder growled, herding us back into the maw of Level 3 forest. Sunlight died here, swallowed by ancient trunks that pressed in, whispering secrets we couldn't hear. A growl slithered from the thicket, low, guttural, not quite animal. My friend halted. I muttered owl, but doubt gnawed. Coyotes jeered from afar, mocking our haste for the dog's sake. Then nothing. The world exhaled, holding its breath. Hairs rose on our necks, skin crawling as if watched by 1,000 unseen eyes. Wait. Listen. There, a whoop, primal and thunderous, erupting from the canopy like a gorilla's rage fused with hell's echo. It rolled, multiplied, branches shuddering overhead. Run, she hissed, and we shattered the silence, legs pistoning down treacherous drops, rocks skittering like fleeing vermin. 2 hours trail vanished in 30 minutes of blind terror, cracks pursuing like footfalls, closer, hungrier. We erupted into the aspen fringe, hearts hammers in our chests, slamming into the car as the final snap echoed mockery. No bear mimics that bellow. No elk. No human throat births such dread. Even now, replaying calls in the dead of night yields silence, only the memory of that something vast, demanding we leave, before it claimed what it craved. 3. Shadows on the Docks User. Southwest Seer. Date: March 29th, 2025. Oregon's wild heart pulsed under September's fading warmth as I claimed Aspen Point near Lake of the Woods. Whispers of cryptids be damned, just a fool's campfire tale. Days melted into hikes, the lake's mirror surface luring me deeper, but night 3 birthed unease. Dusk bled into the forest's throat. I quickened my pace back to camp, every rustle a suspect. Then, an icy prick at my nape like fingers tracing spine. Branches cracked. Once. Twice. Rhythmic, closing the yards behind me. I froze, breath fogging, peering into ink-black nothing. Footsteps? Game. Or something pacing my retreat. Panic ignited. I bolted, thorns raking skin, convinced it toyed with me, drawing out the chase. Night 4, moon bloated and merciless, insomnia hurled me into the fog-shrouded docks. No crickets. No breeze. Just the water's lap, a siren's lie. Cracks resumed, nearer, heavier like bones splintering under weight. Dread coiled tight, I sprinted, beam flailing wild, roots betraying my ankles until I sprawled, light spinning into void. In that spill, it lunged, pitch silhouette barreling from the tree line, moonlight carving its horror. 8 feet of gaunt menace, ebony fur matted over a humanoid cage of ribs, crowned by a wolfish snout, snarling silent fury. Beady eyes gleamed, arms like reaper's hooks dangling low. 5 seconds of locked terror, predator's calculus, weighing my scream's worth. Then it dropped, quadrupedal blur vanishing into mist faster than shadow itself. Gasping in the clearing, pulse a war drum, I realized the truth too late. Not Sasquatch's ghost, but the dogman's kin. Pacific Northwest's ravenous myth, now flesh and unfinished. Wings over the trailer, user. 8 Infinitas. Date November 17th, 2024. Oklahoma's rural vale thinned that crisp night in the late 90s, when I was just a kid chasing stars with my cousin on the roof of Uncle's weathered horse trailer. Our sanctuary from the world's weight, parked at the wood's edge behind the school, where light pollution bowed to the infinite black. Binoculars in hand, we sprawled under the dome of constellations, whispers of planets and myths trading places with the rustle of leaves. But as we edged closer to the trailer on our approach, shadows betrayed us. Flaps of black, like shredded trash bags snagged in the wind, draped across the metal skin. Curiosity clawed. My cousin flicked on the flashlight, beam slicing the dark like a hesitant blade. 15 feet away it uncoiled. Grayish-black form unfurling from the gloom, tattered bat wings stretching wide as a nightmare's embrace, humanoid torso rippling with unnatural sinew. Then the face, slit nose flaring, shark teeth glinting in rows of feral promise, and those eyes, giant glowing crimson orbs that pierced the night, locking onto us with a hunger older than fear itself. Cold breath fogged the air as it hissed, low and guttural, wings quivering in the chill like a predator savoring the hunt. Time fractured, our screams choked in throats gone dry, legs leaden under that gaze, the woods holding breath in complicit silence. It tilted its head, as if weighing our soul's worth, before the spell shattered. We bolted, thorns tearing flesh, lungs burning through the underbrush to the house's frail glow. My uncle stormed out, gun shooting echoes into the woods, spotlight showing empty trails where nothing, no tracks, no sign, should have lingered. Dawn brought school, art class, and mundane class, until the teacher summoned an image on her screen. Mothman, exact in and our Farrar mirroring the horror we'd fled. Activity ceased after that night, but the red stare haunts me still. Whispers of doom in every shadow, a harbinger's promise that the creature may only appear again. 8. Red glow in the mist user, physical dog 2462, date June 7th, 2025. Forest Park's paths wound like veins through St. Louis's greenery, with dusk turning into the haze of early summer, as I leashed Max for his evening walk. Our ritual against the city's hum, the air thick with joggers and distant traffic sounds. Last week, whispers were talked about in the park, eyes in the trees, wings in the fog, but folklore was for tourists, not a man, and Max tugged ahead, nose to the dew-kissed grass near the zoo's fringe, where oaks reached at the sky like forgotten wards. Then there was a prickle at my nape. Max froze mid-stride, hackles rising, a low whine threading the quiet. I scanned the mist-shrouded tree line, breath shallow, dismissing the rustle as wind-whipped branches. But the glow bloomed, twin crimson beacons, unblinking, hovering 6 feet high in the gloom. Not fireflies, not reflection, but eyes, vast and infernal, boring through the veil. Heart slamming, I yanked the leash. Max yelped, bolting backward as the silhouette coalesced. Winged man, towering and taut, leathery spans folding like a reaper's cloak, form humanoid yet twisted, defying the park's tame boundaries. It shifted, deliberate, a guttural rasp slicing the fog as if tasting my panic. No cry escaped. Instinct hurled us into reverse, the pavement blurring under frantic paws and boots, shadows lengthening like pursuing fingers. Glances back revealed the glow trailing, faint, persistent, weaving through trunks with unnatural grace, until we burst into the lit pavilion, chest heaving, Max trembling against my legs. Lights banished it, but the park's hush lingered heavier, the red imprint searing retinas. Whispers now ring true. Mothman prowls not for sport, but omen. And in the city's pulse, something fractures, waiting to claim what follows the stare.
The man in this video claims to have filmed a real dogman that is hunting him. But who are they? Dogmen are not just a myth, but creatures that look similar to humans, yet are covered in thick hair. They are often compared to werewolves, but there is one key difference. Their goal is always the same. In this video, the man hears a strange growl near his house. At first, he thought it was just a wild animal, so he went to check who it might be. He searched the entire property, but found nothing. Thinking it was just fear, he decided to explore the surroundings. But what he encountered on the road made him freeze in terror. He realized it's not worth tempting fate. Rushing back home, the man hoped the nightmare would end. But a few hours later, he hears footsteps on the roof of his house. Going outside to check, he realizes it's too late. Horror grips him to his very bones.
Oh,
What do you think? Is this real? Share your thoughts in the comments.
Now, one time, a nature documentary crew accidentally filmed Bigfoot. Yeah, the clip is from the 2001 film Great North, where a crew explored the high north of Quebec near the Arctic Circle in Canada. The creature that people believe is Bigfoot was walking on 2 feet and up like a gorilla in the opposite direction of what the filmmakers were focusing on: caribou who were enjoying their time in a body of water. 8 years ago, the director William spoke to some people regarding what this creature in his film could be. He spoke with the YouTube page Think Thunker and said that he didn't even realize that the creature was there until 15 years later. William claimed over and over that it could not have been a human, saying there were no strangers for hundreds of miles of where we were, doubling down that nobody on his team was on the other side of the water. Now, he also dismissed the idea that it could have been a bear. If a bear had given chase, it would have been running on all 4 paws in a horizontal position, he said. The object we're seeing is more upright and appears to be running on 2 legs. So, could this actually be Bigfoot? In 2022, the YouTube channel of the Rocky Mountain Sasquatch organization posted footage of what they believe to be a Bigfoot sighting. This particular footage was taken by boaters in northern Ontario, Canada, but we don't really know too much other than that. Now, the commenters on this post truly believe the evidence is rock solid. The ease of walking up to the rocky pile and subsequent gait afterwards is not how a human walks. Very compelling, one viewer wrote. Wow, he is huge. Looks to be 8 or 10 feet tall. Scary just watching this, commented another. Now, a lot of people compared this footage to Patty from the Patterson-Gimlin film, so it seems like people are really believing this. Now, in 2001, a youth group out camping in the Marble Mountain Wilderness, California, got more than they bargained for when their leader, Jim Mills, noticed a strange-looking creature walking along a hill. Now, he thought it was strange and then realized the creature resembled Bigfoot, so he decided to film it for 7 minutes. Now, this made the somewhat grainy footage the longest video of an alleged Bigfoot sighting. The video has been considered legitimate and has not been tampered with. Now, it's unknown if this youth group returned back to this location or if anyone else was brought in to investigate. The footage, though, is very impressive, and I would not be able to stay calm like them. And in 2020, it seemed like Bigfoot was out taking a walk in the snow after a traffic cam caught him doing this. A Washington Department of Transportation traffic camera near Sherman Pass captured Bigfoot and tweeted "Sasquatch spotted," along with 3 circled and zoomed in photos. "I'm not superstitious, just a little stitious," they said. The account points out that there appears to be something in the bottom left part of the frame. It looks like a person-shaped figure silhouetted against an evergreen tree. Might be a Sasquatch, the tweet says. We will leave that up to you. Now, one image showed the figures circled in red, and the tweet also said that the photos were captured on State Road 20 Sherman Pass, a route that winds its way through the forested Cascade Mountains. Now, there's no way that Bigfoot would have thought there'd be a camera there, right? Or do you think that these people just posted this on Twitter to get some likes? Either way, they caught something quite creepy on their camera. Well, that's all for our list of terrifying Bigfoot sightings that will blow your mind. Now, have you ever had a Bigfoot encounter? If so, tell us about it in the comments. I'm your host Emily, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Jim was exploring Crown's Pass when he noticed someone quite close to his location. Knowing there was a good chance it could be Bigfoot, he immediately started recording. What he captured has divided viewers ever since. The footage shows what appears to be a scary face staring directly at him from the wilderness. Even the skeptics, they can't deny that there's definitely something there watching him. More to be revealed on what it is. Now, not everyone believes Jim's encounter is genuine. But the behavior in this footage is pretty unsettling. The head of the creature seems to be tracking Jim's movement, suggesting that this isn't some run-of-the-mill animal you'd find in the woods. Not everyone believes Jim's encounter is genuine, but Jim's been consistent with his Bigfoot research over the years. 4 encounters, 4 videos, all from the same dedicated person. The Crown's Pass location adds a little bit of credibility since it's known for cryptid activity and unexplained sightings in that area. But I'll kick this one to you. What's your take on Jim's footage? Genuine Sasquatch? Hoax? Let me know your analysis.
Hunter claims close encounter with Sasquatch in Colorado. This hunter managed to scare off the legendary Sasquatch before it nearly brutally attacked him. While hunting for sport in Colorado, a man notices this giant, hairy creature walking across an open field. Thinking that it was a bear at first, he aims for it, but the Sasquatch notices this and attempts to chase him down. Managing to get away in time, the hunter films the creature from afar, sending the Bigfoot community into a frenzy.
Bigfoot was spotted just a month ago at Olympic National Park. Dr. Samantha Reeves was out there conducting a nocturnal wildlife survey, and she heard heavy footsteps and wood knocks. Then, a dark shape emerged from the fog, and it was a massive bipedal creature covered in thick, matted hair. Samantha then heard a deep growl, and it's been said that this creature chased her for an estimated quarter of a mile before disappearing back into the forest. Olympic National Park is known for many Bigfoot sightings, so I'm sure there will be many, many more.
Bigfoot was captured out in the Canadian woods. North America seems to be a hotspot for Bigfoot sightings, and especially in Canada, there seems to be more stories like this emerging on the internet. These investigators were given footage of a supposed Bigfoot ducking at a view in front of the camera. We don't see much of the creature aside from its massive, furry back. Its fur doesn't look like a bear's. It definitely looks thicker, as well as it appears there are a bit of trap muscles on him as well. It does just look like a beefier person, but I don't think it's a costume. These investigators take it upon themselves to try and recreate the same video to really compare the size difference to help prove its legitimacy. From this, they were able to get a really good comparison on how much bigger the creature actually was. Bigfoot was baited out with apples and the smell of rotting meat. Throughout all these years, we still have no idea what the diet of this avoided creature is. If it's anything like regular animals though, these people had the right idea, setting a trap with those specific items. Out in the middle of the woods, a group of friends placed their delicious treat for the monster just right next to a tree and laid in wait just a couple of meters away from the spot. Not long after, they heard the sound of twigs breaking and branches snapping. Something big was making its way over to the trap. This 10-foot bipedal creature finally revealed itself, shadowing over the pile of rotting meat and apples and taking a seat. Not wasting any time, the Bigfoot hunters took out their camera to record, but the swiftness in their movement did spark Bigfoot to get up and quickly get out of there. Bigfoot makes national news after randomly appearing in Utah. Within the foothills of northeast Provo, a group of guys stopped their truck in the middle of the road because of this bizarre giant creature that caught their eye walking on top of a hill. They knew right away that this wasn't a person based on its monstrous size alone, and the main guy in the video wanted to take it upon himself to hunt down this beast to really prove what they were seeing wasn't just a figment of their imagination. When he took to the mountain, he kept reporting back to his buddies on his walkie-talkie while recording his adventures that he was no longer seeing regular animal footprints. He states, "So I'm seeing something that's not deer tracks anymore. We're trying to determine what it is." Researchers that looked over these videos were highly skeptical that it was Bigfoot, to no one's surprise. But what do you think?
Maine is a hotspot for Bigfoot. There have been many stories over the years, including a recent one where a man named Stephen Barlett was walking along his York County property looking for deer tracks during a mid-February snowstorm. Except he didn't find deer tracks, but giant Bigfoot footprints. He said the prints were approximately 7 to 8 inches apart, totaling 2 of his own strides. Now, Bigfoot specialists checked them out and said that the spacing, size, and location of the footprints are consistent with other known Bigfoot footprints.
Come on inside! Carly! It's right there.
Suddenly, a massive bipedal creature charges at him. A young boy sets out into the woods alone, armed only with a camera and a flashlight. He had always been curious about what the forest looked like at night, despite his parents' warnings against it. On this particular night, he would discover exactly why they urged him to stay away from this specific area. As he explores, he begins to hear rustling sounds nearby, as if something large is approaching. Suddenly, a massive bipedal creature charges at him.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
The footage reveals an enormous figure, covered in dark hair, appearing to be a blend of human and large ape features. Just as it lunges toward him, the video abruptly cuts off, likely due to the boy's panic as he turned off the camera in an attempt to escape. It remains unclear what happened to him after the recording, but it's presumed he is safe since he managed to share the footage with the world, indicating his camera made it out intact. Perhaps the boy chooses to remain silent to avoid complicating his life or revisiting traumatic memories of the night he was nearly attacked by an unidentified creature in the woods. What are your... One day, a hiker was out on a trek when he came across something utterly unexpected. As an experienced outdoorsman, he had encountered many strange sights in nature, but what he found that day not only shocked him, but left a lasting scar.
The word is out. Jesus.
The gruesome sight was truly unsettling. It appeared to be the corpse of a baby Sasquatch. It looked incredibly lifelike, and the hiker is convinced it's genuine. The face showed signs of slight decomposition, but its features were still discernible. The creature had a large, veiny stomach, with sparse fur in that area, along with slender limbs. The level of detail on this being is astonishing. The figure had a human-like shape, but it moved far too quickly to be a person. The man immediately uploaded the video online, hoping someone could provide an explanation. While boating, a family spotted an unusual figure along the shore.
On the shore.
What's that?
For there.
They zoomed in for a closer look and saw a dark shape emerging from the dense jungle. Knowing they might not be believed without evidence, they quickly grabbed their camera to capture the moment. In August 2019, Doug Teague, a resident of Hickory, North Carolina, filmed what he believes to be Bigfoot while walking his dog. After hearing loud knocking sounds in the distance, he decided to investigate. Doug soon came across large footprints and followed them until he encountered a strange creature.
He's still up here. Or something's up here. He's moving. He's moving, he's moving, he's moving. Daisy, come here. Daisy, come here.
He claimed that as he approached, the creature started throwing stones at him. Later, an anthropologist examined the footprints and estimated they belonged to a creature about 15 feet tall. Experts agreed that the prints seemed to be genuine. A brand new, potentially groundbreaking Bigfoot video dropped on March 5th, 2025. This time from none other than the Discovery Channel, a source known for its credibility. They shared the clip with a provocative caption. Is this the proof we've been waiting for, or just the beginning of something bigger? Here's what they captured.
Right there. Are you seeing that? Holy right there, just zoom in. Right there. Are you seeing that?
I saw something. What the I just saw it again.
Holy smokes.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
Look at that.
Okay.
Now that doesn't look like a bear, does it?
No, it's crazy good.
That was upright.
Watch it again.
Yeah, it's walking.
The footage comes from the team behind Expedition Bigfoot, who are no strangers to trekking through wild terrain in search of the elusive creature. Most of the time, their findings are interesting, but inconclusive. This time, though, things felt different. While scanning a tree-covered mountainside with a long-range camera, the crew spotted something unusual. As they zoomed in, the camera briefly captured what appeared to be the head and shoulders of a massive bipedal creature, undeniably Bigfoot-like. What we're seeing looks like an actual ape-like creature, just standing there, partially hidden in the foliage. Let's take a look at a newly released Bigfoot sighting, captured on May 18th, 2025. This one was caught on a trail cam set deep in the woods. It was filmed in the dead of night, and while the exact location remains classified, is believed to have been taken somewhere in the U.S. What really sets this clip apart is the eye shine. The creature's eyes are glowing intensely. If this were someone in a costume, it's extremely unlikely their eyes would reflect light in this way. Human eyes don't typically produce this kind of glow. That trait is more common in nocturnal animals. Now, some trail cameras can pick up a faint eye reflection in humans, but when we apply light filters to this footage, the figure becomes much more defined. And that's when things start to look eerily real. What we're seeing looks like an actual ape-like creature, just standing there, partially hidden in the foliage. But here's the catch. We don't have apes living in the wild here in the U.S. So, what is it? On November 24th, 2024, one of the most frightening images of Bigfoot surfaced, accompanied by the caption, "Bigfoot looking through cabin window." Here's the photo. Unfortunately, there isn't much information available about it. The location remains undisclosed, and the person who snapped the picture has not provided many details. However, one thing is certain, it's utterly chilling. Just picture being alone in a secluded cabin in the woods while this creature peers in at you through the window. I'd probably sell my cabin and never return. Take a look at this image. Its right eye glows, while the left one does not. It has a strong, large primate-like face, a broad nose, a prominent brow ridge, and a straight mouth. While some people describe Bigfoot as majestic and captivating, this particular sighting is anything but. I wish there were more details available, perhaps even a video, but regardless, it's one of the most terrifying Bigfoot images out there. In October, what began as a typical Snapchat video transformed into something quite bizarre.
It was November 2002. I was 15, and my family had a small hunting cabin in the Monongahela National Forest in West Virginia. No power, no cell service, just a wood stove, a generator, and a lot of silence. That evening, my dad went out to check the deer blinds before dark. About an hour later, I heard the front steps creak. The heavy, slow footsteps sounded exactly like my dad's. I opened the door before he knocked, but nobody was there. I looked around. The steps were fresh in the snow, big ones, larger than a man's, and they didn't lead to the woods. They came from them. I shut the door fast, locked it, and backed away. Then I heard the back door creak. My dad was still out, so I grabbed the rifle, heart pounding. 10 minutes later, he walked in through the front, pale and shaking. He said he'd seen someone watching the cabin from the tree line. We both stayed up that night, weapons ready. Something heavy paced outside till nearly 3 a.m., but never came back.
It was 2001, and I lived in a double-wide trailer in rural Oregon. I was 16, and we only had dial-up internet, so if you wanted to surf, you did it after your mom was off the phone. That night, I stayed up past midnight to sneak online. I just logged on to AIM when I heard this. Scream. Not human. Not a mountain lion either. It was long, guttural, like a deep moan that turned into a roar. I froze. The sound came from the woods behind our property. A minute later, it came again. Closer. Then again, closer still. I killed the lights and ducked below the window. The whole trailer felt like it was holding its breath. Then something brushed along the side of the wall, 3 slow, dragging scratches. In the morning, I checked. There were claw marks, 7 feet up, ripped into the siding. No animal we knew could reach that high. My mom moved us to Eugene 2 months later.
My brother found our old Sony Handycam in 2020 while cleaning out the attic. Still had a tape inside, labeled Yuba Trip 04. We used to go camping up in Northern California when we were kids. Figured it'd be fun to watch some old marshmallow roasting memories. About 10 minutes in, the footage shows us sitting around a fire laughing, being dumb kids. But then the camera tilts. It catches something behind us. In the trees. A tall, dark figure, motionless, watching. You could barely make it out, but its eyes glowed, just a faint reflection from the firelight. We watched in silence. At one point, it takes a slow step forward, then backs away. None of us noticed it at the time. That night, 16 years ago, I remember someone saying they heard big footsteps circling the tent. We thought it was deer. We were wrong.
We tried showing the footage to a local wildlife guy. He told us, "You probably don't want to know what that was."
In 2003, I worked seasonal logging in British Columbia. Me and a buddy were deep in the woods. Like 10 miles up a logging road, no signal, no other crews nearby. We had an old F-250 and would sleep in the cab on multi-day runs. One night, around 3 a.m., I woke up to this rhythmic knocking on the passenger side window, not loud, just steady. I sat up, confused. My buddy was already awake, whispering, "Don't move." Then there was knocking on his side of the truck too. We couldn't see anyone. Just thick fog outside and the vague outline of trees. Then something hit the truck. Hard. The whole thing rocked once. Then again. We started the engine and flipped the lights on, but nothing was there. We peeled out and drove until sunrise. When we got out to check the truck, the side mirrors were bent. Upward, not out, like something tall had grabbed them. I've worked those roads 15 years. I never camped in that spot again.
Summer of 2005. My cousin Josh and I were 14. We used to mess around on long-range walkie-talkies out on my uncle's farm in Iowa. The cornfields stretched forever. It was easy to get lost. One night, Josh wanted to test how far the signal could reach. He walked out alone toward the far end of the field while I stayed at the house. 15 minutes in, he crackled over the walkie. "I think I'm being followed. There's something big moving 2 rows over." I thought he was joking. Then another voice cut in, but it wasn't his. Low and raspy, it said, "He's not alone out there." I froze. Josh heard it too. He started running, panicking into the mic. The last thing I heard was heavy breathing and a thud. He came out of the field 5 minutes later, out of breath and pale. Said something chased him, but never made a sound. Just the rustling corn. We stopped using the walkies after that.
Whether you believe in Bigfoot or not, something was out there in the early 2000s, and the people who lived through it, they'll never forget.
Hey folks, welcome back to the channel where we uncover the unexplained. Today we're diving deep into 8 extended, heart-pounding Bigfoot sightings from Washington State's wild forests between 2001 and 2006, all sourced from the BFRO database. These aren't quick tales, they're immersive. First-person accounts expanded with chilling details to keep you on the edge. From hunters stalked in broad daylight to families terrorized at home, these stories will make you question every shadow. Dim the lights, lock the doors, and let's get into the first one. Story 1. The Hunter's Daylight Stalker. Near Doty, BFRO report number 17,723, Class A. What if, mid-hunt in the misty Washington woods, you locked eyes with a towering beast that knew you were there? Watching, waiting? This 2006 encounter near Doty isn't just a sighting. It's a primal standoff that'll make you swear off solo hunts forever. Buckle up. This true story from a seasoned tracker will have your heart racing from the first snap of a branch. It was a crisp November morning in 2006, and I'd ventured deep into the dense, fog-shrouded forests of Lewis County, Washington, just outside the tiny town of Doty. As a lifelong hunter with over 2 decades in these woods, I knew every trail, every rustle of wildlife, and the subtle signs of deer moving through the underbrush. My rifle was slung over my shoulder, ammo checked, and my senses sharp as I stalked quietly along a narrow game path lined with towering evergreens and thick ferns. The air was heavy with the scent of damp earth and pine, the kind of morning where visibility drops to 50 yards in spots, and the silence is broken only by the occasional drip of dew from leaves. I'd been out since dawn, tracking what I hoped was a big buck, my boots crunching softly on the fallen needles. About halfway through my route, around 10 a.m., something changed. A loud branch snap echoed from behind me. Not the casual crack of a squirrel or deer, but a heavy, deliberate footfall, like a massive weight shifting. My pulse quickened. I spun around, rifle half raised, scanning the misty clearing about 100 yards back. At first, nothing. Then, through a gap in the trees, it emerged. A colossal figure, easily 8 feet tall, covered in dark brown, matted fur that blended with the bark, but couldn't hide its sheer bulk. Broad shoulders spanned wider than any man I'd seen, and its arms, long, muscular pendulums, swung as it walked upright on 2 legs, foraging along the forest floor, perhaps for berries or roots. No neck was visible. Its head sat directly on those massive shoulders, cone-shaped and turning slowly as if scenting the air. I froze, breath caught in my throat, my finger hovering near the trigger. This wasn't a bear. Bears don't walk like that. upright and purposeful, with a stride that covered ground like a basketball player. Its face was flat and ape-like, with deep-set eyes that suddenly locked onto mine. Those eyes, dark, intelligent, almost human, gleamed with what felt like curiosity mixed with a warning, as if it was assessing whether I was a threat. Time stretched. I could hear my heartbeat thundering in my ears. The creature paused, tilting its head slightly, and that's when it happened. A deep, resonant whoop erupted from its chest, echoing through the trees like a foghorn in the mist. Leaves shook loose, birds exploded from branches in a frantic cloud, and a wave of primal fear washed over me, making my legs feel like jelly. It wasn't aggressive, but it was powerful, territorial, and fully aware of my presence. I didn't shoot. Something in those eyes told me that would be a fatal mistake. Instead, I backed away slowly, rifle trained on it, but the beast simply turned and lumbered off into the thicker woods, its strides long and fluid, disappearing in seconds. The whoop lingered in the air, answered faintly from somewhere deeper in the forest. Was there another? I stood there for what felt like an eternity, maybe 10 minutes, hands trembling so badly I could barely hold the gun. Sweat poured down my back despite the chill, and I replayed the image. The fur rippling over muscles that could snap a tree, the way it moved with purpose, not animal instinct, but calculated grace. I've faced black bears up close, even charged by one once, but this was different, intelligent, almost sentient. Shaken, I retraced my steps to camp, but the unease followed. Every rustle made me jump. I cut my hunt short and headed home, mind racing. That night, sleep was impossible. I scoured online forums and stumbled on BFRO, submitting my report with photos of the area. Investigators later confirmed similar sightings in Lewis County, noting the habitat: abundant deer, remote valleys, and minimal human traffic. Perfect for something elusive. They even cast potential tracks from nearby reports, describing dermal ridges like mine. Years later, it still haunts me. I hunt with buddies now, never alone, and avoid Dottie's trails at all costs. What if it had decided I was the intruder? Those eyes, that whoop, they're burned into my soul, a reminder that the woods hold secrets we can't comprehend. The Washington wilderness isn't just trees and game. It's alive with something ancient, watching us as we watch it. I've told this story to friends, skeptics at first, but the fear in my voice convinces them. If you're out there hunting, listen close, because you might not be the only one on the prowl. Story 2. The Motorist's Roadside Horror Near Vancouver, BFRO, report number 14,301, Class A. Picture this. Cruising a foggy Washington back road at night when a monstrous shadow lurches into your headlights, eyes blazing like demons, close enough to touch. This 2003 nightmare near Vancouver will turn every drive into a dread-filled adventure. If you've ever felt alone on the highway, this true tale from a terrified driver will make you white-knuckle the wheel. It was a chilly October evening in 2003, and I was driving home from a late shift in Vancouver, Clark County, Washington, on a narrow rural road flanked by thick woods and open fields. The clock read about 9 p.m., and fog had rolled in thick, reducing visibility to 30 feet, my headlights cutting pale beams through the mist. I'd taken this route 100 times, familiar, quiet, with the occasional deer darting across, but tonight felt off. The radio static crackled, and an unnatural silence hung outside, broken only by the hum of my engine. As I rounded a bend near some dense evergreens, something massive moved in the periphery. A dark shape crossing the road, not bounding like an animal, but striding upright. I slammed the brakes, tires screeching, heart leaping into my throat. There, in the full glare of my headlights, stood a creature unlike anything I'd imagined in nightmares. 7 feet tall at least, covered in shaggy dark fur that dripped with moisture from the fog. Its build was gorilla-like, with long arms swinging low, nearly to the ground, and broad shoulders that made it look like a walking wall of muscle. It paused mid-stride in the middle of the road, turning its head slowly toward me. The face, flat-nosed, with a prominent brow ridge, emerged from the shadows, and its eyes reflected the light in a sickly yellow glow, piercing and aware, as if sizing up the intruder in its path. A low, guttural grunt rumbled from its chest, vibrating through my car's frame like bass from a subwoofer, sending chills racing down my spine. The smell hit next, musky, foul, like wet animal mixed with decay, seeping through the vents despite the windows being up. Panic surged. I gripped the wheel, frozen, as it took another step closer, its massive foot leaving a deep imprint in the soft shoulder mud. No bear, no elk. This thing walked like a man, but distorted, primal, with an intelligence in its gaze that made my stomach twist. It grunted again, louder, almost a challenge, and I floored the gas, swerving to avoid it as it lumbered off the road into the tree line, branches snapping under its weight. I didn't look back until I hit the highway, miles away, shaking uncontrollably, sweat soaking my shirt. Pulling over, I vomited on the side of the road, the image replaying. Those yellow eyes, the swing of those arms, the way it seemed to deliberate before moving. I drove straight to a friend's house, babbling the story, and we returned the next day with flashlights and cameras. Sure enough, massive prints, 15 inches long with 5 toes and a wide heel, trailed into the woods. The smell lingered faintly. Skeptical at first, my friend turned believer. I reported to BFRO, and their investigators confirmed it as a Class A visual, noting Vancouver area's history of sightings, with habitats rich in rivers and forests for such a creature. They even shared plaster casts from similar reports, matching the stride length. That night changed me. I avoid rural drives after dark, always scanning the edges. Commuting became a vigilance exercise. Every shadow a potential threat. Friends call me paranoid, but those eyes, glowing, knowing, haunt my rearview mirror. Washington roads aren't safe. Something's out there, crossing paths with us humans, reminding us we're not at the top of the food chain. If you're driving those foggy back roads, slow down and listen, because it might be listening back. Story 3. The Camper's Nighttime Visitor in Olympic National Park, BFRO, Report Number 12, 1456, Class B. Alone in your tent under the stars of Olympic National Park, when a massive shadow knocks on the fabric, eyes glowing through the darkness. This 2002 camping horror will transform your next outdoor trip into a survival thriller. If you love the wild, this witness's bone-chilling account from the heart of Washington's rainforests will keep you indoors. Summer 2002 found me camping solo in the vast expanse of Olympic National Park, Jefferson County, Washington, a place of ancient rainforests, towering cedars, and misty valleys that feel like another world. I'd backpacked in for 3 days, seeking escape from city life, my tent pitched in a secluded clearing near a babbling stream. The day had been perfect, hiking, rugged trails, fishing for trout, the air alive with bird calls and the scent of mossy earth. By nightfall, around 8 p.m., I built a small fire, cooked my meal, and retired early, the canopy above blotting out all but a few stars. The park's silence is legendary, but that night, it turned oppressive. The only sounds my own breathing and the crackle of embers dying down. Around midnight, I jolted awake to rustling outside. Not the wind, but heavy, deliberate movements, like something large brushing against foliage. My heart raced. I grabbed my flashlight and hunting knife, unzipping the tent flap just a crack. The beam cut through the darkness, illuminating an 8-foot shadow at the edge of the clearing, its brown fur matted and damp from the evening dew. It was humanoid, standing upright, peering directly at my tent with eyes that glowed an eerie orange in the light, unblinking and curious, yet menacing. The creature's arms hung long, fingers splayed, and it raised one to knock on a nearby tree. Thud, thud, the sound echoing like a drum in the still night. A low growl followed, deep and rumbling, vibrating through the ground and into my chest, silencing every insect and frog in the vicinity. The forest went dead, as if holding its breath. Terror gripped me. This wasn't a bear. Bears don't knock or stare with such intent. I yelled to scare it off, my voice cracking, and fired a warning shot from my pistol into the air. The bang shattered the quiet, and the beast responded with a piercing whoop, high-pitched and chilling, before crashing away through the underbrush, branches snapping like gunfire. I didn't sleep a wink. Flashlight on, knife ready, replaying the details. The fur's texture, the muscular build, the way its head tilted as if listening to my heartbeat. Dawn brought relief, but also evidence. 17-inch footprints encircling my tent, deep and wide, with impressions of toes that curved unnaturally. Scat nearby was odd, fibrous and large, unlike any animal I'd seen. Packing up hastily, I hiked out, nerves frayed, every shadow suspect. Back home, I contacted BFRO, providing photos of the prints. Their Class B classification noted vocalizations and tracks, aligning with dozens of Olympic reports in the area's remote, food-rich habitat, salmon runs, berry patches, minimal roads. Investigators visited similar sites, finding wood knocks common. That trip ended my solo camping. Now I go with groups, armed heavier. The park's beauty hides dangers, those glowing eyes, that growl. They whisper of something ancient patrolling the night. Washington adventurers, heed this. The Olympics aren't just trees. They're territory, and you're the visitor. One wrong night, and you might not be alone anymore. Story 4. The Hiker's Ridge Encounter, near Leavenworth. BFRO, report number 15,678, Class A. High on a Cascade Ridge, you spot a 9-foot giant striding below. Then it turns, howls, and mirrors your every move. This 2004 hike near Leavenworth became a cat-and-mouse game with the unknown. If mountains thrill you, this woman's terrifying true story from Washington's peaks will leave you grounded for good. July 2004, and I was on a solo day hike along a steep ridge trail near Leavenworth in Chelan County, Washington, part of the Cascade Mountains' rugged backbone. The sun beat down on granite outcrops and wildflower meadows, the air crisp with alpine scents, visibility stretching for miles. An experienced hiker with years on these paths, I'd started early, packed light with water, snacks, and bear spray, enjoying the solitude and panoramic views of snow-capped peaks. About midway up, around noon, as I crested a rocky overlook, Movement caught my eye below in a boulder-strewn chute. A figure, massive and dark, navigating the terrain with ease. At first I thought it a hiker or ranger, but as it came into focus 50 yards down, horror dawned. It was no human. Over 9 feet tall, covered in blackish fur that shimmered in the sunlight, it strode upright, long arms dangling past its knees, muscles rippling under the pelt. Its head was elongated, shoulders hunched powerfully, and when it paused to adjust its path, our eyes met. Dark, penetrating orbs that held an almost knowing intelligence, locking on me with unyielding focus. A chilling howl erupted then, long and mournful, echoing off the cliffs like a siren's call, freezing me in place as wind whipped around us. The sound wasn't animal rage, but something deeper, communicative, sending birds scattering and my skin crawling. I backed away instinctively, but the creature mirrored me, shifting position on the ridge, whooping again in response to my movements, as if playing or warning. Branches below snapped under its weight as it adjusted, never charging but always visible, its presence oppressive. Fear propelled me down the trail. I ran when I could, heart pounding, glancing back to see it parallel my descent through the trees. The hike that took 2 hours out took 1 back, legs burning, mind reeling from the details. The fur's length, the deliberate gait, the way its eyes tracked without blinking. At the trailhead, I collapsed in my car, shaking, and called a friend before reporting to B. FRO. Investigators confirmed Class A status, casting 18-inch prints from the area with unique toe details, noting Leavenworth's high-elevation forests as prime habitat. Deer herds, caves, low human activity. Follow-ups revealed vocal patterns matching other Cascades reports. That encounter ended my ridge hikes. Now I stick to crowds. The mountain's majesty masks predators. That howl, those eyes, they signal we're not alone up high. Washington hikers, if you hear that call, run, because it might be calling you. Story 5. The Fisherman's Riverbank Terror in the Snoqualmie Valley, BFRO, report number 19,234, Class B. Casting your line in a serene Washington River at dusk, when a soaking wet beast rises from the water, grunts and hurls a rock your way. This 2005 Snoqualmie Valley fishing trip turned deadly serious. Anglers, beware! This eyewitness's watery horror will make you pack up at the first splash. September 2005, dusk settling over the Snoqualmie River in King County, Washington. I was waist deep in the cool current, fly rod in hand, enjoying a peaceful evening fish for salmon. The valley's beauty, rushing waters lined with alders and ferns, mountains looming, had drawn me here for years. The sun dipped low, painting the sky orange, and bites were slow, so I waded upstream, focused on the ripple. Suddenly, heavy splashing echoed ahead, not fish, but something large displacing water. Looking up, I saw it emerge from the river 40 yards away. A 7.5-foot creature, brown fur slick and wet, shaking off like a massive dog as it stepped onto the bank, walking bipedally with powerful legs. Its eyes fixed on me, dark, alert, and it grunted deeply, a sound like thunder rolling low, vibrating the water around my legs. Then it bent, picked up a fist-sized rock, and threw it my way with startling accuracy, splashing inches from my face. I dropped the rod, adrenaline surging, and bolted for shore, slipping on mossy rocks, the grunt pursuing like a curse. No otter or beaver acts with such intent. This was deliberate, territorial. Reaching my truck, I locked in, peering back to see it watch from the bank before vanishing into thickets. The throw's arc, the fur's water beads, the grunt's depth, all replayed in terror. Morning, I returned with a buddy. 16-inch tracks in mud confirmed it. Webbed toes from the river. BFRO classified it Class B for the rock incident, common in valley reports, with the area's salmon-rich waters ideal habitat. That changed my fishing, now daytime only, with company. The Snoqualmie's charm hides threats. That grunt warns, the river's not yours. Washington fishers, if rocks fly, reel in fast. Story 6. The Logger's Close Call in the Gifford-Pinchot Forest. BFRO, report number 16,789, Class A. Chainsaws roaring in Gifford-Pinchot when wood knocks halt everything. Then a roaring giant charges from the brush. This 2003 logging crew's brush with death in Washington's forests is pure adrenaline. Timber workers, this one's for you, will make you ear the trees differently. Spring 2003, deep in Gifford-Pinchot National Forest, Skamania County, Washington, my logging crew was felling old-growth Douglas firs, the air filled with sawdust and echo of blades. Remote, rugged terrain, steep slopes, dense understory. We'd been at it since dawn. Safety protocols tight. Around midday, wood knocks rang out. Thud, thud from the brush. Rhythmic, not natural. Chainsaws idled as we scanned. Then it burst forth 30 yards away. 8 foot tall, dark fur, broad chest heaving, arms swinging as it strode upright. Eyes locked on us, it roared, a deafening bellow that drowned the saws, shaking ground. We froze. It charged a few steps, massive feet pounding before veering off. Panic. We dropped tools, retreated to trucks. Prints 19 inches, deep. BFRO's Class A confirmed, area's activity high with prey abundance. That roar ended my logging days. Forests whisper warnings. If you're cutting wood, listen. The beast might roar back. Story 7. The family's backyard intruder near Bellingham. BFRO report number 13,467, Class B. Bangs on your fence at night, then a furry giant peers over, slapping wood with glowing eyes. This 2001 Bellingham family's home invasion by Bigfoot will make suburbia feel wild. Homeowners, lock up. This suburban scare is too close for comfort. Fall 2001, our home near Bellingham, Whatcom County, Washington, backed by woods, was peaceful until 10 p.m. Bangs on the fence. Spotlight out. A 7-foot reddish-furred figure peered over, eyes reflecting, slapping again with a growl that shook the house. Kids screamed. It lumbered off. Morning, broken branches, 15-inch prints. BFRO noted patterns in area. That growl changed our lives. Motion lights now, no backyard nights. Bellingham's edge blurs wild. Those eyes at our fence, nightmare fuel. Story 8. The Driver's Highway, horror near Spokane. BFRO, report number 20,145, Class A. Dusk on a Washington highway, an 8-foot shadow blocks your path, whooping as you swerve for life. This 2006 Spokane drive-by terror is highway horror at its finest. Drivers, speed up. This close call will have you checking mirrors eternally. August 2006, Highway 2 near Spokane. Stevens County, Washington, twilight. I drove when it darted across. 8 feet, dark fur, upright. It stopped, eyes glowing, arms raised, whooping loud as I swerved. Tracks, 17 inches. BFR. Oh, Class A, common for motorists. That whoop? A block or threat. Roads cut wild. Now I drive alert. If it whoops, Floor it. There you have it. 8 expanded, terrifying Bigfoot tales from Washington's 2001 to 2006 BFRO reports. The Evergreen State is full of mysteries. Share your thoughts or stories below, like if you got chills, subscribe for more, and hit the bell. Stay vigilant in the woods.
Something is moving through the forests, deserts, and canyons of North America, and witnesses believe it may be Bigfoot. From violent tree shaking in the remote backcountry of Alberta to bone-chilling howls in California's Kern Canyon, from terrifying knocks deep in Washington's forest to the relentless rock throwing that drove seasoned hunters out of Nordegg, the witnesses are different, but the pattern is the same. The stories we've gathered here span decades and thousands of miles. Campers, hikers, hunters, and even entire families describe the same encounters. Overwhelming silence before an approach, the smell of musk or decay, heavy footfalls circling from the tree line, and, when ignored, intimidation so forceful it drives even the most experienced outdoorsmen to flee. Some saw towering figures vanish into the timber. Others were pursued, chased, even screamed at as they barely escaped with their lives. Still others returned to find massive footprints and tufts of coarse hair left behind. Are these sightings proof that Bigfoot is more than just a legend? Are we dealing with a territorial species or something even more intelligent? And why do these encounters seem to be increasing? What moves on 4 powerful legs yet can scale a chain-link fence with frightening agility? What prowls through the darkness in total silence only to erupt in bone-rattling roars that shatter the stillness of night? Diane and Roger King of Fort Mill, South Carolina wish they didn't know.
It's terrifying, Diane said, her voice low. I was too scared to even look outside. I just wanted it to be gone.
The Thing, as the Kings now call it, visited their property 3 nights in a row a few weeks ago. Each time it appeared at the same hour, around 1 a.m., and lingered for hours, as if it had nowhere else to be. At first it stayed in the woods behind their home off Charlotte Highway, tramping heavily through the brush, snapping branches and clearing undergrowth with an almost purposeful strength. But soon, that wasn't enough. It climbed their fence.
It's a tall chain-link fence and it went right over, Diane said, like it was nothing.
Once inside the yard, the creature, or whatever it was, turned its attention to the children's swing set just feet from the King's home. The metallic clang of chains rang through the night as the intruder tangled itself in the swings. Ryan Layton doesn't scare easily, but for the past 13 years, the 39-year-old Utah native has been chasing something in the state's wilderness that makes even seasoned hunters hesitate to enter the forest after dark. He believes Bigfoot is real.
This isn't a myth, Layton said quietly, his eyes narrowing. I've seen too much. I've heard too many stories from people who weren't supposed to be scared, but were. These things are out there. They're watching us.
Layton, a self-employed entrepreneur, has never seen the creature himself, but he's walked the trails where others swear they locked eyes with something that defies explanation. He stood over massive footprints in the mud, heard guttural cries echoing through the mountains at 2 a.m., and listened to trembling voices recount encounters they wish they could forget.
You'd be shocked how many Utahns have had close encounters, Layton said. I've personally spoken with at least 30 or 40 people who looked one in the face. These aren't people seeking attention. Some of them still won't go back into the woods.
Most sightings share disturbing details. An unbearable stench that hits before anything is seen, animals reacting in sheer panic, and a towering shadow that seems to stalk from just beyond the tree line. The knocks continued. Rawson tried to convince herself it was wind or coincidence, but then a third noise erupted.
From my right side, I heard this violent smashing, she said. It was wood on wood, but heavier, louder. I could hear bark coming off a tree. It wasn't a stick, it was like someone was breaking logs in half.
The other 2 knock sources went silent.
That was it for me, she said. I stopped playing the game. I got out of there as fast as I could.
Rawson says she smelled skunky odors on previous hikes but never thought much of it. Now she's not so sure.
I know Washington has Bigfoot sightings, she said, but I never imagined it could happen here. This isn't some endless wilderness. It's just a patch of woods.
She's right that the location is small compared to Washington's sprawling forests, but wildlife officials note that deer are plentiful in the area and cougars are occasionally spotted. The question is, what else might be living there? The incident is eerily similar to reports from rural communities in Missouri, South Carolina, and Utah, where residents describe hearing wood-knocking patterns deep in the woods, often followed by mutilated livestock or unexplained animal panics.
Dogs that will run straight at a bear or cougar will turn and run from Bigfoot, Layton said. I've seen horses bolt like they've been spooked by death itself. Whatever these things are, animals know. They know before we do.
80% of reported encounters happen at night, when the forest is at its most silent and unforgiving. Witnesses describe feeling watched, the kind of presence that raises the hair on your arms before your brain catches up.
It's always the smell first, Layton said. Rot, musk, like something that's been dead a week. Then you feel it, the weight of it, and you hope it stays in the shadows.
Some campers claim their trucks and trailers were violently rocked in the dead of night. Others describe something circling their camp, slow and deliberate, never coming too close but never leaving either.
It's as if they want you to know they're there, Layton said. But they don't want you to see them. That's worse somehow.
Skeptics demand proof, bones, fossils, a body. Layton understands, but he says the lack of evidence makes the reality even more disturbing.
You'd think someone would have found a skeleton, he admitted. But we haven't. And that tells me we're dealing with something smarter than we want to believe. Something that doesn't want to be found.
Some researchers have gone further, connecting the phenomenon to UFOs and extraterrestrial beings. The forest was silent when Amber Webster raised the spotlight. She and her husband, along with his cousin, had volunteered to help search for a missing 22-year-old hiker. The three had driven deep into the backcountry north of Sedona, 20 miles down a rutted dirt road, scanning the hillsides and canyons with powerful beams of light. It was after midnight when they saw it.
75 yards away, the light caught a figure, 7 feet tall, at least 400 pounds, wide shoulders. Its hair was matted, white and brown, but its face, it was bare, leathery, human, but not.
The eyes glowed in the spotlight's beam, a reflective gold, like the light was coming from inside.
It didn't move, it didn't blink, it just stared at us like it was deciding.
2 hours earlier, Webster had called the missing girl's name into the darkness. She had heard an answer, but not a voice.
2 hard knocks, wood against wood, far off in the trees. I joked, "Oh hey, it's Bigfoot." I wish I hadn't said that.
The holiday weekend was supposed to be peaceful. Eric Butcher and his wife had driven from Bakersfield to the Fairview campground in the Sequoia National Forest to escape the fireworks and noise for the sake of their dogs. Nestled in Kern Canyon, 15 miles north of Isabella Lake, the campground was full but quiet, save for the distant sound of laughter from other campsites. Then the howls began. They were long, low, and carried across the valley. The sound echoed off the ridges. It would last for a while, then there'd be silence for a few minutes. Then another howl. We heard it at least 5 times. At first his wife thought it was a train. I told her there are no trains anywhere near here, and in the back of my mind I knew. I'd heard recordings before, it sounded exactly like them. Butcher recognized the sound from online archives of Bigfoot vocalizations, a chilling, moaning call known among researchers as the Ohio Howl. I joked with my wife about it being Bigfoot. She thought that stuff was ridiculous, so I passed it off as a joke. But the sound, it stuck with me. 2 seasoned hunters say they left one of their favorite spots for good after a night they cannot explain. The men had set up camp in the Blackstone Gap area, 1.5 miles north of Old Trapper's cabin, and were preparing dinner around 9:30 p.m. when something began moving in the tree line.
"It was about 25 yards away," one of the hunters said. "We thought it was a bear. We grabbed the shotguns and kept listening."
For 30 minutes the sounds persisted, heavy movement in the brush, pacing just outside the firelight. One of the men fired a round into the air, hoping to scare the animal off. The response was immediate.
Not 20 seconds later, a rock the size of a soccer ball came flying out of the bush and landed next to us, he said. Then a tree started shaking, violently, like something was trying to rip it out of the ground.
Another rock sailed out of the darkness, then another. The hunters say the barrage went on for nearly 20 minutes. For months, cattle mutilations and mass stampedes have plagued farmers in Webster and Ozark counties. Theories swirled. Satanic cults? UFOs? Something worse? Now a third, even stranger explanation has surfaced. It's Bigfoot. The theory came from a reader in Raytown, Missouri, after he read about the recent cow stampedes that left farmers shaken and livestock dead or missing. He passed the columns to Cliff Lebrecht, a 53-year-old business owner in Raytown, who claims he encountered a Bigfoot in 1977. Lebrecht's story is disturbing. He says he tried to shoot the creature when he saw it, but before he could pull the trigger, it grabbed him. He swears it communicated telepathically, its voice filling his head with a single chilling question: "What in the hell are you doing?" Lebrecht has studied the Bigfoot phenomenon ever since. And after reading about the Ozarks cattle events, he's convinced.
There's a tremendous aura of fear around these things, Lebrec said. They radiate it. Animals feel it first. Horses will run through fences to get away. Cows will trample each other, anything to escape. Lebrec believes the Ozark cattle stampedes, hundreds of cows across 5 farms panicking for a full 24 hours, match the pattern of Bigfoot activity. This is their migrating season, he explained. They move from southern marshes to northern lakes. The Ozarks are right in their path. Now is the perfect time for them to come through.
Farmers initially suspected a bear, but the attacks happened too quickly and across too many locations.
A bear couldn't be at 5 farms in one afternoon, Lebrec said. But a Bigfoot? Oh, absolutely. They're the fastest creature on 2 feet.
The thought of something that fast, that strong, moving silently through the woods has unsettled residents. And while Lebrec's theory is unconventional, it's no more far-fetched than the other explanations law enforcement has been chasing. For weeks, investigators suspected satanic cults were behind the mutilations. The timing seemed to fit. April 21st to May 1st is considered one of the most important ritual periods for cult activity.
Webster County Sheriff Bill John even asked that the information be kept quiet, fearing it would inspire copycats.
We don't want to give anybody any ideas, said investigator John Nolan, who has led the mutilation case. A lot of times with cult activity, you get people, kids mostly, who like to pretend. The last thing we need is more bodies.
What's huge, black, and covered in hair? Layton understands, but he says the lack of evidence makes the reality even more disturbing.
You'd think someone would have found a skeleton, he admitted. But we haven't. And that tells me we're dealing with something smarter than we want to believe. Something that doesn't want to be found.
Some researchers have gone further, connecting the phenomenon to UFOs and extraterrestrial beings. Layton doesn't fully endorse the theory, but he doesn't dismiss it either.
I can't rule anything out, he said. We might be dealing with something introduced here. Something not from here.
There's a darker theory that's persisted for generations, particularly among those with deep ties to early Mormon history, that Bigfoot is Cain, cursed to wander the earth for eternity after killing his brother Abel. The story comes from an 1830s account by LDS apostle David W. Patton, who claimed he encountered a towering, hairy man. Layton doesn't believe the creature is Cain, but he understands why people cling to the idea.
When you're out there and the woods go silent, he said, it feels biblical. Like you're standing in the presence of something ancient, something that's been here since the beginning.
The Uinta Mountains are Utah's prime suspect.